The United States is locked in a relentless arms race with global powers like China, pushing the boundaries of military technology, including advanced aerial assault weapons. One such project, the X-44 MANTA, was designed to be the ultimate warplane, a stealth fighter so advanced it could dominate the skies. But did this revolutionary aircraft ever take flight? Join us as we uncover the secrets of the X-44 MANTA, the fighter jet that, if real, would have sent shockwaves through rival nations. History of fighter jets. In U.S. military. Back in World War I, the U.S. military didn't have its own advanced planes yet, so they depended on European designs. One of the best fighters at the time was the Spady S-13, a French-made aircraft that American pilots, including Eddie Rickenbacker, flew in battle. Rickenbacker, who became the top U.S. fighter ace, shot down 26 enemy planes using the SPAD. His success showed how important air power was in the war. But by the time World War II came around, the United States had started making its own top-notch fighter planes, changing the game in aerial combat. The P-51 Mustang, which came out in 1942, became one of the most legendary planes of the war. It was first designed for Britain's Royal Air Force, but soon, the US used it to protect bombers on long missions over Europe. Pilots like Chuck Yeager and Bud Anderson took advantage of the Mustang's speed and agility to outmaneuver German planes, making sure bombing missions were successful. Over in the Pacific, the US Navy upgraded from the older F-4F Wildcat to the F-6F Hellcat, which gave them an advantage over Japan's A-6M0 fighter. One pilot, David McCampbell, became famous for taking down 9 enemy planes in a single day, proving why the Hellcat was the top-scoring Allied fighter of the war. When the Korean War began, air combat changed in a big way as jets took over from older propeller planes. The F-86 Sabre, the first American jet with swept-back wings, faced off against the Soviet-made MiG-15 in fierce battles over North Korea, an area pilots called MiG Alley. These new, faster jets meant pilots had to come up with different flying strategies. American pilots like James Jabara and Joseph McConnell quickly adjusted, scoring several victories against enemy MiGs. This leap in technology paved the way for even faster planes, which became even more important by the time the Vietnam War started. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. introduced the F-4 Phantom II, a strong twin-engine jet loaded with missiles but missing an internal gun. This turned out to be a problem since pilots had a hard time fighting up close against smaller, more nimble MiG-17 and MiG-21 jets. To fix this, the U.S. military created the Top Gun program, where pilots learned better air combat skills. This training helped them improve in battle, and the lessons they learned shaped how future jets were designed, making sure they had a good mix of speed, weapons, and agility. As the Cold War went on, American fighter jets kept getting better. The F-14 Tomcat, F-15 Eagle, and F-16 Fighting Falcon, introduced in the 1970s and 1980s, set new standards for air combat. The F-15 became famous for never losing a fight, while the F-16 was praised for being both affordable and highly effective, making it a favorite for the US and its allies. While these jets focused on speed and agility, a new game-changing technology was on the rise: stealth aircraft that could fly undetected by enemy radar. The F-117 Nighthawk, created in the late 1980s, was the first stealth aircraft that could avoid enemy radar, kicking off a whole new chapter in fighter jet technology. Unlike older jets that focused on flying fast and carrying heavy weapons, the F-117 was built to stay hidden, making it possible to hit enemy targets without being seen. By 1990, U.S. fighter jets had become high-tech precision machines, blending speed, stealth, and advanced weapons to keep America ahead in air combat. Early plans for a game-changing fighter jet. In the late 1990s, military aviation was going through big changes. With the Cold War over and new global challenges popping up, the United States had to rethink its defense plans and the kind of technology it needed. During this time, the focus was on staying ahead in the skies by using cutting-edge technology, stealth, and the next generation of fighter jets. One of the main goals was to keep the United States in control of the air. Since military budgets were being adjusted after the Cold War, there was a push for more affordable but highly effective aircraft. This meant engineers had to come up with new and creative designs. That's how the idea of a tailless stealth fighter came about, leading to the creation of the X-44 MANTA jet. By May of 1999, NASA and the US Air Force had started early work on the aircraft, hoping to build a fighter jet that could change air combat. They planned to test MANTA's new technology on an F-22 Raptor or an F-15, with the first X-44 prototype expected to begin flying by the financial year 2007. This wasn't just a small experiment. NASA believed that the technology developed for the X-44 could also be useful for the F-22, the Joint Strike Fighter, and even future commercial supersonic aircraft. The project got its first funding from the government and two major contractors, and by June of 1999, NASA had officially given the aircraft its name, X-44A. The Lockheed Martin X-44 MANTA, which stands for Multi-Axis No-Tail Aircraft, was an ambitious idea based on the F-22 Raptor. While the F-22 already had impressive stealth features and could control movement using thrust vectoring, the X-44 took things a step further by completely removing the usual tail fins. This meant getting rid of both the vertical and horizontal stabilizers, making the aircraft even stealthier and more efficient in the air. The F-22 Raptor has tail fins that slightly increase its radar visibility, making it easier for enemies to detect. The X-44 MANTA was designed to solve this issue by removing those surfaces entirely, making it much harder to spot on radar. This fit perfectly with the US Air Force's goal of developing aircraft that could fly unnoticed in high-risk areas. Since it had no traditional control surfaces, the X-44 had to rely completely on advanced thrust vectoring to steer. While the F-22 uses two-dimensional thrust vectoring to help with pitch control, the X-44 planned to use three-dimensional thrust vectoring. This would allow it to turn in all directions with incredible precision, making it more agile than regular fighter jets. With this level of maneuverability, the aircraft would have a huge advantage in dogfights and in avoiding enemy attacks. Instead of using the trapezoidal wing shape of the F-22, the X-44 featured a stretched delta wing design. This wing shape helped improve its stealth ability while also providing more space inside for fuel. Because of this, the X-44 would have been able to carry more fuel than the F-22, allowing it to fly longer distances without needing to refuel. This would have made it ideal for long missions where staying hidden was critical. By removing moving parts like rudders and elevators, the X-44 was also designed to be easier to maintain. Fewer mechanical components meant fewer things could break, leading to lower maintenance costs and more time in the air. This would have made it a more reliable and cost-effective option for the military, solving some of the challenges that come with maintaining high-tech fighter jets. It's pretty fascinating that while the United States was busy developing the X-44 MANTA and improving its stealth fighter technology, other major countries were also working on their own advanced jets. Russia, for example, was upgrading its air force with aircraft like the Su-30 MKI and Su-34. These were impressive fourth-generation jets with better avionics, improved maneuverability, and stronger weapons. But there was one thing they didn't have, which was stealth. Meanwhile, the United States was already perfecting stealth technology with the F-22 Raptor and experimental designs like the X-44. Russia did experiment with a unique jet called the Su-47 Berkut, which had forward-swept wings, but it never made it past the prototype stage. Its impact on real fighter jet development was minimal. As for the Su-57, Russia's first attempt at a true fifth-generation stealth fighter, it was still just an idea at the time. It wouldn't even take its first flight until 2010, more than 10 years after the X-44 was being discussed. China, on the other hand, was growing fast in the aerospace industry, but it was still relying on copying older Soviet aircraft designs. The J-11, which was based on Russia's Su-27, was starting to become more of a locally built jet. However, it still didn't introduce any game-changing technology like what the United States was working on. China's first real stealth fighter, the J-20, wouldn't fly until 2011, putting it more than 10 years behind the F-22. While China was spending time and resources researching stealth technology, it had not yet built a jet that could compete with the level of stealth, agility, and advanced systems that the United States already had in action. Even European countries, which were known for their top-tier fighter jet programs, were still focusing on improving fourth-generation aircraft instead of diving into full stealth designs. The Eurofighter Typhoon and Dassault Rafale were incredibly agile and could handle multiple roles in combat, but they lacked the stealth features that the United States had been prioritizing. While other nations were making progress, they were still trailing behind. The United States wasn't just leading in fighter jet innovation, it was defining the future. If the X-44 MANTA had been fully developed, it would have pushed the technology gap even further, introducing a level of stealth and agility that no other country was anywhere close to achieving at that time. Cancellation of the X-44 MANTA project. In the early 2000s, the United States Department of Defense was dealing with tight budgets and shifting military needs. Because of this, some big aerospace projects, including the Lockheed Martin X-44 MANTA, had to be canceled. At that time, the Pentagon was focusing on producing and improving the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II. These were fifth-generation fighter jets designed to keep the United States ahead in air combat. The F-22 Raptor, made by Lockheed Martin, was built to dominate the skies with its stealth features, high-speed cruising without using afterburners, and advanced onboard systems. But producing it was extremely expensive, and since the military was shifting its focus to counterinsurgency operations, many people questioned whether it was still necessary. By 2009, Defense Secretary Robert Gates decided to stop production after only 187 units. He explained that the jet didn't have any real threats to fight and wasn't flexible enough for different types of missions. Meanwhile, the F-35 Lightning II was seen as a more affordable and adaptable alternative. Created through the Joint Strike Fighter program, the F-35 was designed to replace different aircraft used by the United States military and its allies. It had three versions: the F-35A, which took off and landed normally, the F-35B, which could take off in short distances and land vertically, and the F-35C, which was built to operate from aircraft carriers. Because multiple countries helped develop it and planned to buy it, the F-35 became a more appealing investment both strategically and economically. But the ideas behind the X-44 MANTA weren't completely lost. The technology and concepts played a role in shaping the Next Generation Air Dominance Program, often called NGAD. This is the United States Air Force's project to create a sixth-generation fighter jet that could either replace or work alongside the F-22 Raptor. Just like the X-44, NGAD was designed to keep the United States ahead in air combat, especially in situations where airspace is heavily defended. However, NGAD isn't just one aircraft but an entire system that includes both piloted and unmanned aircraft, top-level stealth technology, powerful engines, and advanced weapon systems. The Next Generation Air Dominance Fighter, or NGAD, is designed to be even harder to detect, faster, and more flexible than the jets that came before it. To make it stealthier, it is expected to have no tail, which will help it avoid radar detection. It will also likely have artificial intelligence to assist pilots, advanced sensors, and improved communication systems, so it can work closely with drones and other military technology. One of the biggest upgrades in this new jet is its modular design. This means new technology can be added quickly without needing to rebuild the entire aircraft from scratch. The Air Force has also hinted that NGAD might come with an advanced engine system, possibly an adaptive cycle engine, which would let the jet switch between high-speed performance and fuel-saving modes when needed. Even though much of the project is classified, the United States Air Force confirmed in 2020 that a prototype had already taken flight. The NGAD fighter is expected to be ready for service sometime in the 2030s, making sure the United States stays ahead in air combat as threats from countries like China and Russia continue to grow. At the same time, the United States Navy is working on its own version of NGAD, called the FA-XX, which will eventually replace the FA-18 Super Hornet. Debunking conspiracy theories of the X-44 MANTA. The X-44 MANTA would have been a game-changing piece of technology in the world of aviation. But if you haven't already picked up on the pattern from what we've talked about earlier, the aircraft never actually made it past the concept stage. Some people believe the X-44 MANTA was secretly developed and tested, pushing the limits of aviation with technology beyond what we currently understand. There are even wild claims that it had some kind of anti-gravity propulsion system, but there is no real proof that the United States military ever built or tested anything like that. Anti-gravity technology is still just an idea, with no working examples in real-world aircraft. The X-44 was simply a fighter jet designed without a tail, using thrust vectoring to control its movements, and not some sci-fi machine with futuristic propulsion. Even though none of these conspiracy theories hold up, people still spread exaggerated stories about what the aircraft could supposedly do. Some of these claims go even further, suggesting that the X-44 was so advanced that it made traditional defense systems completely useless. The idea is that radar and missile defenses would have no way to track or take it down. While the design of the X-44 was meant to make it harder to detect, no jet is completely invisible. Stealth technology helps reduce how easily an aircraft can be spotted, but it doesn't make it impossible to find. Countries like Russia and China have been working on radars and missiles that can detect and target stealth aircraft, so even if the X-44 had been built, it wouldn't have been completely untouchable in battle. A lot of people assume that stealth means total invisibility, but that's just not how the technology actually works. Some people online claim that secret Pentagon files and classified missions prove the X-44 was actually built and is still being used today. But there is no real evidence to back that up. No official military reports or government statements confirm any of these stories. The truth is, the X-44 project was shut down in the early 2000s because of budget cuts and shifting military priorities. While some of its ideas helped shape future stealth technology, the aircraft itself never became a reality. There are also wild claims that the X-44 could fire hypersonic missiles at speeds of nearly 3,000 miles per hour with perfect accuracy. But that doesn't hold up either. When the X-44 was first being imagined, hypersonic missiles weren't even a working technology yet. Some sources also try to make it seem like the X-44 played a huge role in shaping modern stealth jets, but that's not exactly true. While its tailless design was studied, the focus at the time was on developing the F-22 and F-35 instead. A lot of advancements in stealth and aerodynamics were already in progress before the X-44 was even thought of, so saying it was the main influence on today's fighter jets is a big stretch. Another common claim floating around is that the X-44 MANTA could achieve stealth purely because of how it was shaped, without needing any special materials. But that's not really accurate. While the shape of an aircraft is important for reducing how much radar can pick it up, special radar-absorbing materials are just as critical. We see this in real stealth planes like the F-22 and F-35, which use a mix of both shape and material to stay hidden. The idea that the MANTA could have been completely stealthy without using these materials doesn't line up with what we know about modern aviation. Some people online have made wild claims about the MANTA, saying it had an omnidirectional shield made of sensors that could detect dangers and instantly suggest ways to fight back. While modern jets do have advanced sensor systems, like the distributed aperture system on the F-35, the idea of an actual shield protecting the plane is just an exaggeration. There are countermeasures like flares and chaff, but these don't create an invisible force field around the aircraft. No fighter jet is completely safe from attacks, and even the best defensive systems only work part of the time against really advanced threats. This misunderstanding probably comes from how modern jets are getting more automated, but at the end of the day, pilots still play a huge role in making decisions and avoiding danger. To add to the speculation, some sources claim that the X-44 was designed to carry hypersonic missiles that could fly at nearly 3,000 miles per hour. While hypersonic weapons are being worked on, like the AGM-183 ARRW, they are still in the experimental phase. Right now, no fighter jets, including the F-22 and F-35, are actually equipped with hypersonic missiles because these weapons are too big and heavy for them. There's no proof that the X-44, if it had ever been built, would have had this ability. Figuring out how to mount and use such powerful, high-speed weapons on fighter jets is still a huge challenge that military engineers are trying to solve. Confirmed USAF fighter jet projects after X-44. MANTA project cancellation. Since the early 2010s, the United States has been making big moves in aircraft technology, improving military power, and setting new records in aviation. These advancements cover different areas like superfast flight, pilotless aircraft, stealth designs, and upgrades to older planes. As military needs change, these new technologies help the U.S. stay ahead in air battles, spying missions, and important military operations. One major breakthrough has been in hypersonic technology. Hypersonic weapons, which can fly more than 5 times the speed of sound, have been a big focus for the military. In the 5th month of 2010, the X-51A Waverider, an unmanned hypersonic aircraft, took its first flight and set a new distance record for planes powered by a scramjet engine. This test was a huge step forward in hypersonic research, opening the door for weapons that can reach targets faster and more accurately. Research on hypersonic weapons has continued into the 2020s, with scientists and engineers working on making these weapons fully ready for combat. This push for greater speed and precision shows how warfare is evolving. At the same time, the use of pilotless aircraft has changed how the military operates. A good example of this is the U.S. Army picking Teal drones for its short-range reconnaissance program. Teal's Black Widow drone, which can fly on its own and avoid electronic interference, was selected to provide about 11,700 units, giving the Army a better way to gather information from the air. On top of that, the U.S. Army has been working with aircraft companies to make it easier to fly Black Hawk helicopters, possibly even letting them operate without a pilot. The goal is to improve safety and efficiency, especially after past accidents, while keeping the Black Hawk useful for different missions. The increasing use of pilotless and remote-controlled aircraft shows the military's focus on reducing risks for pilots while keeping its operations strong. Along with these new technologies, making better fighter jets has been a top priority. The 5th-generation jets, like the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II, are built with advanced stealth, smart sensors, and high-tech communication systems that allow them to share data in real time. These features give the U.S. an edge in air battles and make these jets useful for many different missions. At the same time, work is being done on 6th-generation fighters, which will include even better stealth, artificial intelligence, and new engine designs. These improvements are meant to keep the U.S. ahead in aerial warfare, ensuring it stays a leader in military air power as global competition grows. Another key focus has been upgrading older planes to keep them useful. One of the best examples is the B-52H Stratofortress, a bomber that has been in service for decades but is still getting updates to stay relevant. Recently, a B-52H with a bright orange paint job, nicknamed Wolfpack, was seen flying over Texas carrying hypersonic AGM-183 missiles and new communication systems. These upgrades are part of a larger plan to keep the B-52 flying until 2050, showing how old aircraft can be improved instead of completely replaced. This approach highlights how adaptability is just as important as developing new planes in military aviation. At the same time, the U.S. military has been working on laser weapons and energy-based defense systems. These futuristic weapons have major advantages, such as being extremely precise and not needing as much ammunition or supplies as traditional weapons. The military expects laser weapons to become more common throughout the 2020s, giving defense systems and offensive operations a new level of effectiveness. As other countries develop ways to counter regular weapons, these high-tech energy-based systems could provide a game-changing advantage in future battles. Besides offensive and defensive advancements, high-flying spy planes like the U-2, also known as Dragon Lady, are still a big part of intelligence work. These planes have been used for missions along borders, gathering important information from extremely high altitudes. Flying at over 70,000 feet, the U-2 is excellent at spotting details from far above, helping with national security. Even with all the progress in satellites and drones, these piloted aircraft are still very useful for collecting live intelligence that other technologies might miss. Another focus has been making military planes more fuel-efficient and less harmful to the environment. The Aircraft Technology Net Zero Roadmap lays out a plan for using cleaner energy sources, like sustainable aviation fuel, also called SAF, along with regular jet fuel, hydrogen, or even battery power. Future planes designed for long and extra-long distance flights are expected to rely partly or fully on SAF, helping the military meet global environmental goals. These efforts show that while defense operations remain a priority, there is also an awareness of the need to cut down on pollution. Finally, companies like Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works continue to push aerospace technology forward. For 80 years, Skunk Works has led the way in developing top-secret aircraft, including stealth planes and advanced engines. Their work plays a huge role in keeping the U.S. military ahead of the competition. As future wars rely more on high-tech aviation, research teams like Skunk Works will remain crucial in shaping the next generation of military aircraft. Unconfirmed USAF fighter jet projects. The United States Air Force has a long history of working on top-secret aircraft, with some remaining hidden for many years before the public ever finds out about them. However, certain projects catch people's attention due to leaked budgets, strange sightings, and reports from insiders. Some of the most talked about but unconfirmed planes include the Aurora, TR-3B Black Manta, and RQ-180, all believed to be part of classified programs. One of the biggest mysteries in military aviation is the Aurora project, which has been a topic of debate since the early part of the 1980s. The name first appeared in a leaked Pentagon budget report from 1985, where $455 million were listed under black aircraft production. This immediately led people to believe the United States was working on a new high-speed spy plane to replace the SR-71 Blackbird, which was about to be retired. Throughout the late part of the 1980s and early 1990s, there were reports of strange, fast-moving aircraft flying at high altitudes. In 1991, an engineer from Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, which was the company that handles many secret aircraft projects, was said to have confirmed that a hypersonic reconnaissance plane was being developed. Around the same time, loud skyquakes were reported over California and the United Kingdom, fueling speculation that a plane capable of flying over Mach 5 was being tested. The United States government has never admitted that Aurora exists, but the ongoing rumors and indirect clues have made it one of the most convincing secret aircraft theories out there. One of the most talked about secret aircraft is the TR-3B Black Manta, which many believe is being kept under extreme secrecy. Unlike the Aurora, which was thought to be a high-speed spy plane, the TR-3B is often described as a large, triangular craft that can hover and move silently using advanced technology. Reports of strange, silent, triangle-shaped aircraft go back to the early part of the 1990s, especially around the Nevada Test and Training Range, where Area 51 is located. Some believe this aircraft uses a special propulsion system that creates electromagnetic fields to reduce its weight, allowing it to hover or glide without making a sound. While most aviation experts say this idea sounds like science fiction, there have been many eyewitness accounts of dark, triangular objects flying low in the sky. In 2014, 3 glowing triangles were seen flying together over Texas, making the rumors even stronger. Unlike the Aurora, no official documents have ever mentioned anything called TR-3B, making it even harder to prove. Still, because the Pentagon has shown growing interest in new propulsion systems, the mystery around this aircraft remains. Another aircraft many people believe is real is the Northrop Grumman RQ-180, which is thought to be an advanced stealth drone designed to replace the older RQ-170 Sentinel. The first hints of its existence came in 2013 when a report from Aviation Week and Space Technology claimed that a high-altitude, long-endurance stealth drone had been secretly developed. The report cited sources from the defense industry who said that Northrop Grumman had won a contract to build the drone. Further proof of this came when the military expanded restricted airspace in Nevada and California, leading some to believe a large, unmanned aircraft was being tested. Observers noted that this new drone seemed to fit the Air Force's increasing focus on using unmanned aircraft for spying missions in well-defended areas. There has never been an official confirmation, but the ongoing improvements in drone technology and the appearance of a stealth aircraft silhouette in a United States Air Force promotional video in 2020 suggest that the RQ-180 might already be in use. Another aircraft that has sparked a lot of curiosity is a possible high-speed replacement for the SR-71, often called the SR-72 or Son of Blackbird. In 2013, Lockheed Martin announced it was working on a new aircraft that could fly faster than Mach 6. Even though this wasn't officially confirmed as an active project, it matched long-standing rumors that the United States had been testing super-fast spy planes for many years. In 2018, a picture of the SR-72 design was shown at a defense industry event, making people wonder if a working version already existed. Some believe test flights may have already happened in highly secretive locations like Groom Lake, better known as Area 51, or Edwards Air Force Base. One thing all these mystery planes have in common is that the United States government has a long history of keeping advanced aircraft hidden for as long as possible. Even the F-117 Nighthawk, which was mentioned earlier, was flying missions for almost 10 years before the public even knew it existed. The B-2 Spirit bomber was also in development for several years before anyone outside the military saw it. Based on this pattern, it seems very likely that the United States Air Force has aircraft flying today that people don't know about yet. With leaked budget reports, detailed eyewitness accounts, and strange military activity that is hard to explain, there is a lot of evidence suggesting that secret planes are out there, even if the government hasn't officially admitted it. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.